In today's video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the Squishtastic Beanie. Now this is my go-to hat pattern whenever I need a hat because it works up quickly and it is by far my favorite hat pattern I've ever designed. It works up very easily too. All you do is half double crochet on the top and then you start the body, which is the ladder stitch, which is front and back post double crochet. And then we work the ribbing, which is a single crochet ribbing where you work in the back loop with a smaller hook. Now the tutorial started off with me starting with this color, which is the color Badlands. And although I love the color, it was just way too dark for a tutorial. So the first segment, like when I'm first starting off and showing you the materials, it does start in this color. And then we swap it off to this one because this is a lot easier to see. So before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's go over the materials needed. The materials needed for this hat are pretty basic. We need yarn. Now I use one full ball of Brand Heartland yarn. I love this yarn. I love the tonality of the colors. It has a little bit of a heathering look, and it's a nice generous skein of yarn. You can pick these up just about anywhere, but I will have an affiliate link down below because I am an affiliate with Lion Brand. Now this ball holds 251 yards or 230 meters, and it is 100% acrylic. Typically when I think acrylic, I think itchy, scratchy, whatnot. This is not. This is soft. It really is one of my favorite 100% acrylic yarns. It is a medium number 4 worsted weight, and the beauty of this is that it is machine washable and dryable. But I don't see how often we need to wash and dry a hat, but if you're giving it to your kids, I could see how that would come in handy. Now this is in the color Badlands, and again, you're going to need one full skein. And with the first hat I made, I had like 3 inches left over, but I also did a handmade pom-pom. So if you plan on doing the homemade pom-pom, then you may want to pick up a second skein just to be safe. And if you find that you have just enough, well, then you have an extra skein to make another hat. Some other things that you'll need are a pom-pom or a pom-pom maker. Now I picked up some faux pom-poms. I got this online, and it's funny, when I got the whole bag, it looked like a bag full of hamsters, but it wasn't. It's pom-poms. So I'm choosing the gray and the white to go with the Badlands color because I just think that they look nice together. So some other things that you'll need are 2 crochet hooks. You'll need a size I or a 5.5 millimeter and a size G plus or a 4.5 millimeter. The smaller one is for your ribbing, so you'll want to be working with at least 1 full millimeter smaller. So you don't want to go from an I at 5.5 down to an H, which is a 5.0, because it just doesn't give it enough of that squeeze that you will need. And some other things that you'll need are a tape measure. You'll also need a lockable stitch marker, which is totally optional. I just use this to help keep track of my rounds. You'll need a tapestry needle for weaving in your ends and a pair of scissors. But one other thing that I have that I designed for you guys is a hat template. Now this is available on my website for free, and it's pretty cool. So I set it up to where it has the circumference that is needed for a lot of different hat sizes. And it goes up to the large adult, which is 21 inches. And the way that works is you'll measure the head of who is going to be the recipient of this hat, and then you subtract 2 inches. So my head is 22 inches, so I'm going to be doing the small adult, which goes to this round right here. Now on the website, this is in color. I just don't own a color printer. So I'm going to be working up to that circumference, and for me that is easier than using a measuring tape. But whatever works for you, it's totally your preference. So when I started the tutorial, I was using that Badlands color. However, once I started filming, I realized that that yarn, even though it's gorgeous, it's way too dark to be able to give you a good tutorial where you can see what I'm doing. So I've switched up my color to a lighter brown, and it's the Heartland in the color Grand Canyon. So we're going to work with that. And we're going to start with our 5.5 millimeter hook. Now this hook, if you have not tried these, I highly recommend them. They are part of the Dots collection from We Crochet. I got the full set of crochet hooks for like 20 bucks, and they are fantastic. So I am an affiliate with them. I'll put a link down below so you can get your hands on these hooks too. So let's get started on the hat. So we're going to start with a slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now in this third chain from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, so that very first one, we're going to work 8 half double crochets. So we yarn over, insert our hook, drop a loop, yarn over and draw through all 3. And you're going to work 8 total half double crochets. So now that I have my second one, before I go any further, I am going to mark my first one. And this is just so that on the next round, I can see it a little bit easier. So let's do a total of 8 half double crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now that we have those 8, you'll see that that first chain got pretty big. So we're just going to close that up by pulling that tail. And then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first half double. And I'm going to remove my stitch marker and join with a slip stitch. And that's our first setup. Now we're going to begin the next row, or the next round, where we're going to chain 2. And now that chain 2 does not count as a stitch at all for the beginning of, for the top part of the hat. What we're going to do though is we're going to increase. And this hat has a stitch pattern repeat of not repeat. The increments that it's worked in is 8 stitches. So for each round, we are going to be increasing by 8 stitches as we work the top part of the hat. So we are going to work 2 half double crochets in each stitch across. So you'll end up with a total of 16 half doubles. So in this first stitch, I'm going to work 2 half double crochets. So that's 1 and 2. And just like last time, I'm going to mark the top of that first half double crochet. And I'm going to work 2 in each one around. And by the time I get up to this point, I will have 16 total half double crochets. So I will meet you back here after I finish those half doubles. Okay, I'm coming up to the very end of my round. I now have 16 half doubles. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first one. There we go. And I'm going to pull that a little bit tighter. And now I'm going to remove my stitch marker. And when you're working in the round, I tend to start with the very first one. Some people like to move over. It gives a little bit of a spiral effect. That's totally your preference. But my preference is to work in that first stitch. So I'm going to chain 2. And then we're going to increase by another 8 stitches. And we're going to do that by working 2 half double crochets in this stitch. So that's 1 and 2. I'm going to mark that first stitch. And then I'm going to do 1 half double crochet in the next. And that's your pattern repeat for this round. So you'll do 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. So 1, 2, and then 1 in the next stitch. And you'll do that all the way around, and you'll end up with a total of 24 half double crochets. All right, I have 24 half doubles. Now I'm going to join with a slip stitch. This is what we should have so far. For the next round, I'm going to remove that stitch marker. I'm going to chain 2. Then we're going to work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2. So we go 1 and 2. I'm going to mark that first stitch. And then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2. and that's your stitch pattern repeat. So 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, 1, 2, and then 1 in each of the next 2. Okay, and you're going to continue doing that all the way around. You'll end up with a total of 32 half double crochets, and then join with a slip stitch to the top of that first half double crochet that you did. And I'll meet you for the next round. For round 5, we'll begin by chaining 2. Then we're going to work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. So 1, 2. I'm going to mark that stitch, mark that first stitch. And then it's 1 half double crochet in each of the next 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that's how you work your increase on this round. You'll end up with a total of 40 half double crochets by the time you come up to here, and then just join with a slip stitch to the top of that first half double crochet. So it's 2 half double crochets in the next stitch and 1 half double crochet in each of the next 3. And I will meet you at the end of this round. For round 6, we're going to do our increase by beginning with a chain 2. We're going to work 2 half double crochets in that first stitch. 1, 2, and then we'll do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 4. And that's how we're going to work our increase on this round. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll continue repeating across like that until you get to the very end, where I forgot to mark my stitch, where you will join with a slip stitch to the top of that first half double crochet, and you'll end up with a total of 48 half double crochets on this round. So I will meet you at the end of this round so that we can begin round 7. To work the increase for our next round, which is round 7, we're going to begin by chaining 2, and then you'll work 2 half double crochets and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. And that's your pattern repeat. So you'll end up with 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, then 1 in each of the next 5. And you'll work that way around, joining with a slip stitch to the top of your first half double, and you'll end up with a total of 56 half double crochets. And this will be a good time after you finish this round to begin measuring your hat against the template. I have a feeling that I'll be stopping mine either after this round or the next round. So I'm going to work this round, and then I will see you for round 8. So I finished that increase round, and now I'm measuring it out. And this is coming to be just a little bit short of where I want it to be. So I'm going to do one more increase round, and I'll walk you through how to do that. So I'm going to put my template away. And we'll do one more increase round. Now on the written directions on the website, it will do a couple more increase rounds. So that way if you need to make it larger or if you're crocheting tighter, you can adapt for that. But I think you are probably getting the hang of how we do this, where we just evenly increase by 8 stitches with each round. So for round 8, all we're going to do is chain 2. And then the pattern for this one is to work 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 in each of the next 6. And you just continue with that repeat of 2 half double crochets, 1 in each of the next 6, all the way around, and join with a slip stitch in the top of that first half double. That will give you a total of 64 half double crochets. So I'm going to do that round, and then I'm going to show you how to start the pattern where we start creating the textures. So I will see you at the end of this round. So I finished that increase round, and I'm happy with where I'm measuring as far as on the template. So now we're ready to begin the body of the hat. Now again, if you want to keep continuing, the directions are on the website, or if you were doing a smaller hat, well then you're already ready to start the body. So let's go ahead and get started on that. For the body of the hat, all we're going to be doing is working front post double crochets and back post double crochets. So we'll start off by doing a chain 2, and then we're going to do a front post double crochet around each of the next 4 stitches. We're not going to do it on this first one where that chain 2 is, because we're just going to kind of act like that doesn't exist. So we're going to work around this next post. So we'll yarn over, going front to back around that post, create that front post double crochet. And before I go any further, I'm going to mark where the top of that first front post double crochet is. And then we're going to do that around each of the next 3 posts for a total of 4 front post doubles. So it's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now the next 4 are going to be back post doubles. I'm going to pull some more yarn out here. All right, so back post double crochets, and that's where we go back to front around the next post. And then we drop a loop and yarn over and draw through 2 times. We'll do that for a total of 4 times. That's 2, 3, and 4. And that is your pattern repeat. So for the next step, you'll do 4 front post double crochets and then 4 back post double crochets. So I'll go through that quickly once more. So 4 total front post. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 4 back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you'll repeat that all the way around, and then I will meet you when we get to this point right here. I'm at my last 2 back post double crochets for this first round of the pattern. So 1 more to go. Then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first front post double crochet. And that is it for what's going to be the body of the hat. You're going to continue repeating that round until you end up with about 6.5 inches from the beginning of where we started that pattern. So these increased rounds aren't where that counts. You'll start measuring from where that first round was, where you started doing the back and the front post. So I'm going to continue working this until we get to 6.5 inches. And just a really quick recap, you'll begin by chaining 2. You'll do 4 front post doubles, 4 back post doubles. And I will see you in just a little bit when we can begin the ribbing. I've done about 16 repeats of the pattern, so that takes me right to where I want to be, where I'm at 6.5 inches. So now we're ready to begin the ribbing. To do the ribbing, I'm switching to my smaller hook, so this is my 4.5 millimeter, and I'm going to have the right side facing me, and we're going to begin by chaining 12. Now this chain 12 is going to give us about 3 inches of ribbing, so if you want it to be shorter or longer, you can just adjust your chains. So we're going to chain 12. Okay, we have our 12 chains. I'm going to rotate my hat. Now I do highly recommend for these, at least these first few rows, that you work on a table or some kind of flat surface, because working in your lap can be a little bit of a challenge because it gets a little flumpy. So what we're going to do is very simple. We're just working single crochets, but we're going to start by, in the second chain from the hook, working a single crochet. And then we're going to single crochet across. And I'm using this top loop right here to work in. And you'll have a total of 11 single crochets. 3. When you have a total of 11 single crochets, which is what I have here, we are going to do 2 slip stitches. So first I'm going to remove this stitch marker. We're going to do 2 slip stitches, and we're going to be working on the edge of the hat. So in this first one right here, we're going to do a slip stitch. And in the next one, we'll do a slip stitch. Now we're going to turn our work. And this is where we're just going to be working in the back loop only from here on out. So we are going to skip those first 2 slip stitches, and we're going to work in the back loop only. We're going to do a single crochet. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only across to the very end. So you'll end up with a total of 11 single crochets. So working in that back loop only, which is, if you're to look at it, you've got that little V right there. It's this loop right here, so it's that back loop. So do 11 of those total. And here's the last one. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. And this is essentially the pattern repeat, because we're going to do a single crochet in each stitch in the back loop only. We're going to do a total of 11. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do those 2 slip stitches on the edge of the hat. And the beauty of this is, with this hat being worked in increments of 4, you'll always see that your next 2 stitches are part of that 4 increment. So you start off with the first 2, and then your other repeat will work the next 2. So we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch. And you always want to make sure it's one that you haven't worked in yet. So this one right here we have worked in. So we're just going to move over to the next stitch. We'll do a slip stitch, and then a slip stitch in the next one. And we'll turn our work. And we're going to skip those first 2 stitches and single crochet in the back loop of the next one. And then across for a total of 11 single crochets in the back loop only. Then we will chain 1, turn our work. And so you see, this is the pattern repeat that we'll be doing. So I'm going to work this down one more time, show you about the slip stitches, and then you'll just continue doing that repeat. So we've chained 1 and we've turned. Now in the second stitch from the hook, or the second from the hook, we're going to ignore that chain 1. We'll work that single crochet in the back loop and that first one all the way down for a total of 11. And before I go any further, I want you to see. So see, you get this really nice squishy ribbing that works really well. Some people like to just do rounds where they do front post and back post, alternating it. But this truly is my favorite ribbing that we can do here with crochet. Okay, so I've done those 11 single crochets. Now we're going to slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. Then we'll rotate our work, skip those 2 slip stitches, and work in the back loop only, single crocheting across. So single crochet in the back loop only 11 times. And that is your pattern repeat for going around the edging. So I'm going to continue doing this until I come up to right here. And when you come up to this point, you should have 2 stitches left. So you should have this one and this one, and I'll meet you right there. So I've just finished doing this row of 11 single crochets. And here, now you can see it better down that final rib. And now we have just those 2 stitches left that are on the edge of the hat. So we're going to do a slip stitch in each of those last 2. So 1, whoops, Of course, I'm going to show you by doing it in the wrong one. So these last two. So let's do a slip stitch in those last two. So 1, 2. Then we're going to turn our work. Skip those 2 slip stitches and then work a single crochet in the back loop of the next 11 stitches. So 1, 2. Now what we're going to do is we're not going to cut our yarn. Instead, we're going to take our hook out and we're going to turn the hat inside out. This way your right sides are facing for your ribbing. Then we're going to pinch them together. And we're going to seam these together. Now the way that I do it, because I'm not a huge fan of seaming, with the needle and thread, is I'm going to do a slip stitch seam all the way up. But I'm going to start off first by going into that first stitch and just bringing my yarn through. So I'm just going to bring that through. And then I'm just going to work a slip stitch into this stitch and then into the next stitch. And I'm just going to do that all the way across. And then when you're all done, it'll be your hat. Now that's when you want to turn it the other way around and add in your pom-pom if you want to use a pom-pom. Now remember that original yarn that I wanted to start this tutorial with, but it was too dark? Well, I liked it so much, I went ahead and still made a hat out of it. And when you have your ribbing finished, this is what it'll look like. So it's really nice and squishy, and it works well for the circumference. And what's nice is it's long enough that you can fold it if you so desire. But that is it for this tutorial for this hat. So I do hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you later for more patterns and tutorials. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.